Hi, everyone. Welcome to the host as guest. Today, I'm joined by Angela Sillmon, the CEO of Peacock Bungalows. Angela, how are you?
I'm great, Leo. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very well, my friend. It's lovely to see you. I'm slightly jealous because I'm sure you're having much nicer weather in San Diego than we're having in London right now. Tell us more.
Oh yeah, San Diego is beautiful. I always say there's no place I'd want to live in the US other than San Diego.
Now, obviously, I can see how being in San Diego equates to short-term rental because why wouldn't you want to come and vacation in San Diego? But what was it that inspired you to get involved in the short-term rental industry? How long has it been?
Yeah. It's been an interesting ride. So I've been in short-term rentals going on 5 years in March. I started in real estate 6 years ago. So my history, my background, I was 20 years in corporate America, IT project program manager, rose up the ranks, still felt unsatisfied with life and was looking for something where I could have more control of my time and I can move closer to financial freedom. So when I moved to San Diego, I was actually still working in IT and started learning about real estate and how to flip houses. So that's actually where I started in the real estate industry. I joined fortune builders, learned how to flip houses, flipped my first property, and then went to a real estate conference in Vegas and heard about this thing called short-term rentals. And I was like, oh, this seems interesting. Mainly because I had fired my employer in 2019. So I wanted more steady income where flipping was great, but you would only get it, 3 to 6 months. So once I learned about the consistent income from short-term rentals, that it aligned with my target market is business travelers. And that's what I did for 20 years in IT. I traveled a lot. So it was nice to be able to serve that community. And then also learning about San Diego because I was new to the area. San Diego has all five major branches, all branches of military here. Um, so it was really kind of like all the stars aligned. I was able to utilize my tech background because, as you know, short-term rentals can really be done all online with some support staff on the ground. So yeah, that's how I got into it. I started right at the start of the pandemic, 2020, and been cruising ever since.
Love it. Sounds like a great story. So, from flipping to short-term rentals, does that mean then, by implication, that your strategy, your real estate strategy, is to buy property and then put them on the short-term rental market, or do you also do a mixture of managing and arbitrage as well?
Yeah, great question. Actually, arbitrage. I do 100% arbitrage, but I'm moving into purchasing. So that has been my 5 year strategy. When I learned about arbitrage, definitely a way to get into the short term rental game without having to expend a ton of cash. So I was able to do that. I grew from 0 to 50 properties in 2 years. I've since scaled back and purchased my primary home here in San Diego, California last year. And now I'm house hacking and continuing to look for purchase opportunities. So started off arbitraging with the goal of moving towards purchasing.
What made you decide to start to scale back when you hit 50?
Yeah, actually, it was more outside circumstances more than a decision. But when I added a 31 unit building in San Diego, that is what got me up to the 50. And the great lesson learned there, as you know, as entrepreneurs, business owners, we get them often, was to really make sure, especially with arbitrage, you're evaluating the building with a fine tooth comb. So a lot of the properties that I lease with owners are newly rehabbed. And this was a historical hotel that was rehabbed, great location. However, the rehab was not done the way that it should. So we were dealing with a lot of maintenance issues, a lot of issues that were impacting our brand and our guest. So I decided to break that lease and pull out of those 31 units. And then with arbitrage, as you lease, I do 2-year leases at minimum. So those leases fall out. Short-term rentals was at the height of its game. So there was one building in Little Italy, which is a prominent area in San Diego, and a new owner purchased it, and he wanted to do all short-term rentals for the whole 10-unit building where I was doing 2. So just kind of the nature of the game, the ebb and flow. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, great. And what do you know now that you wish you'd known when you started?
Yeah. I would definitely say um, being an operator and a business owner are 2 different things, right? So when I started and I was at 15, I started to hire a team once I got to 15 properties. And that is a whole different skill set within itself. Knowing how to find talent, the right skills, the right personality for your team and your business is definitely crucial, especially as you are scaling more and more. And I, had to learn the hard way that being an operator is not the same as being a leader. So that's one thing. And then also, life is not a race. I think all of us get really excited about, like you said, we want to scale up, we want to get here, we want to get there. And in hindsight, I had a pretty steady, 2 years, 50, but even sometimes I think was the 31 unit building too soon? Could I have been more measured in my scaling, which maybe could have prevented a lot of headache as I was scaling.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. Slow down to speed up, as they say. Although perhaps what we're saying, the goal shouldn't always be to speed up, right? The goal should be, I guess, to remember why you got into it in the first place, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because my original goal was just 15. I had a number that I wanted to hit with 15, and 15 properties would have got me there. But the great thing is when you're good and you have good relationships, opportunities come. And one of my mentors said, the better you get at things, you should be saying no more than you're saying yes. So that's something that I've learned in the past couple of years as well.
Very interesting. We talk about this idea of saying no to deals. I guess we've just talked about that, saying no more than yes. How does that relate to when you're picking your next deal? What are you looking for?
Yeah. What's been so cool and interesting about, as you know, the past 5 years has not been the same, right? From the pandemic to the year after the pandemic with revenge travel, to the year after that with Airbnb bust. The industry has been so dynamic. The one thing that I really focus on year after year is data within my business and seeing what the data is telling me. So over the past year, my portfolio is a mix of studios, 1-bedrooms and 2-bedrooms. But as I evaluated my data, I saw that there was more juice from the squeeze with properties three bedrooms and more. So as I had, previous owners come to me with, they had new 1-bedrooms, like 2 new 1-bedrooms on the market. I went and took a look, and when I ran the numbers, I was still just going to be at a place where I had already been. So like my focus for arbitrage properties are 3 bedrooms or more going forward. And then as I'm looking at purchasing, here in San Diego, I'm looking at 2 bedrooms, 2 baths or more.
And do you, with the properties that you arbitrage, is there a geographical restriction that you put on yourself, or is it just they have to hit that 3-bedroom minimum?
It's here. With San Diego, I've kind of shifted a little bit because when I started, I live in the urban corridor of San Diego, and part of our brand is walkability. So all of our properties are like right in the hippest neighborhood. You can walk to coffee shops, restaurants, you can get downtown very easily. So that was a part of our brand. But as I've been shifting to evaluate 3 bedrooms and more, I'm going more outward. So San Diego is really big. I mean, it's 45 minutes from top to bottom. So it's about a 30 to 40 mile radius now
Wow. Wow.
that I can work with.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Do you think that you, as your business is today, do you think you could take that concept and plant it in another city, or do you think it's important to stay within a market that you really understand?
I'm always open to looking at different opportunities. For me, it's just what makes sense to me and what like what do I value? I enjoy. I don't go to my properties a lot because I have a great team who turns them over and checks on them. But there is a little bit of a comfort, which also could be a downfall, with having your properties in your city. I think when looking at other cities, it's really just about the data. Fall in love with the numbers, not with the properties. So if there's a lot of cities out there, as you know, just what makes sense numbers wise, and then what's something that like calls to me. At the moment, I really enjoy operating in warm weather cities that have not as high as fluctuation from season to season. So if I was going to expand into another city, those are considerations that I have.
What would be your one piece of advice to someone who's about to start in the industry, like they're looking to acquire their first contract, either through managing or arbitrage, or well, probably not purchasing, but yeah, what would you say to them?
There's so many, so many pieces of advice, but I'd say the biggest one, you have to focus. So pick a lane. When you're trying to do too many things at once, you get scattered and you're just not going to achieve what you need to as quickly. And then second, make sure you have a good education support system and a good community. Whether you're doing this as part-time and you're still working, your 9 to 5, or you're going out and this is your full-time job, it could be really stressful. There could be situations that you deal with. I know we all have stories and you're going to need that advice. You're going to need that support. You're going to need, that helpful, those helpful words when the times do get tough. So community and education are always top of the list for me.
What is it that you have retained control of and would never cede control of? What's your kind of USP in your business?
Yeah, it's the financials and the data. So reviewing my profit and loss every month, making sure my bookkeeper is categorizing the data correctly, and I'm reviewing the P&L to make sure, is there a property that is not doing as well as it was last year? Is it time to move or shift or let some properties go? Some people, myself included, you get attached to like what you first created and you're like, oh, I got this. I never want to let it go, but I'm actually shifting in my current business where I am letting go of my 13 short-term rentals and moving more to midterm because I have been focusing on government contracting and got a government contract, and then can supplement with short-term rentals. So really looking at the financials, the P&L, and analyzing the data to see what the trends are with your properties.
Let's talk about the midterm rental strategy a little bit more. We know short-term rentals had a particularly challenging 12 months as well. What was it that made you decide to move in that direction? And now you've moved in that direction, what do you think that means for your growth and expansion of your business?
Yeah, I'd say the catalyst was twofold. Ordinance. So San Diego implemented short-term rental ordinances 2 years ago, and to be quite honest, the city has an agenda. The city has an agenda, and they're not happy with short-term rental operators, even good operators. So they've made it a little bit challenging to operate. And again, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So for my sanity, and again, for what I value being able to be, not hands-on day to day in my business, having the right team, being able to be creative and see what other opportunities are out there or come my way. And midterm rentals gives me more of that, just more of that freedom. It's not, you don't have as many turns, you don't have as much as you have to manage operationally. So that's one reason why I shifted to midterms, and then focusing on direct contracts with government or companies has also been, again, I value peace. I value my time. And once you land a contract, that is a fixed fee for X amount of time. I'm now not having to as heavily rely on OTAs anymore because I have that contract.
Yeah, you're winning one big client, right? Instead of every 4 days trying to get another one in. For people that,
Exactly.
for actionable insights and advice, how should they go about trying to win some of those?
How should they go about trying to win
The government contract, for example, in a property?
Oh yeah, yep. So there's, there is sam.gov. Actually, is where all of the contracts are posted. There, I'm actually doing a seminar this coming up next weekend, a 1 day seminar on how to win government contracts. A lot of different people are going to be there. It's really like just setting up your business to make sure you're viable for government to work with them. So, some simple things, making sure your business has a web presence, your DUNS number is set up, your business address is set up. Just some foundational things are one, but then also making sure that you responding to a bid is a little bit of, I'm hesitating because there's a lot, but then it's simple at the end of the day. But learning how to respond to government bids is a new skill. And like I said, I'm big on education. So at every step in my real estate journey, I got with a mentor who advises me on how to, prime my business for government contracts. I'm a woman-owned, minority-owned business. And what's cool is the government has a certain amount of money set aside every year that they have to give out to small business owners, to minority women business owners. So once you kind of tap into that lane, it's a whole new world, and it's pretty cool.
What do you think's been the single biggest, it's the single most important mastermind group or mentor or experience you've had that's helped you the most?
I can't, everyone has been critical at a different stage. The learning how to flip houses was not just about flipping houses. I learned a lot of financial practices that I just weren't aware of. How to buy and hold, how to separate your business expenses from your individual. So that was really like the foundation. And then when I learned short-term rentals, at the time, the group was just phenomenal. I'm actually one of the partners that I do the government contract with, or both of them are from that short-term rental mastermind. So you can create lifelong friends and business partners from these communities. And then even with the government contracting, I mean, we went on a trip to Puerto Rico to look at investment deals. It's like saying, like, which of your children is your favorite? It's hard. I've done flipping. I like to keep it spicy. So each new venture that I take on, I look for a quality mentor and community.
What are your thoughts, feelings about the next 12 months for the industry?
I think the industry is strong. I mean, I'll never forget, as I was entering short-term rentals, it was at the start of COVID and there were shutdowns. Like the city was saying you're not allowed to, host at the time. And I was in the midst of, money was out. I was setting up 3 properties. And I remember I asked my mentor, is this really the right time to be starting a short-term rental business? And I'll never forget his words. He said, there will always be a need for temporary housing. And when I sat back and thought about it, there will always be a need for temporary housing. We're at a really interesting point where that has become very commercialized, right? With technology, it's become more accessible to people to get into the industry. So now government is always behind, right? So now they're coming behind to try to regulate and put some structure around things. It's not going away. Once consumers are, once consumers have things that they like, consumers are going to continue to demand, temporary housing, not just in hotels. So I see the industry, it's a $1 billion industry. For us as operators, what we have to keep looking at are the trends and shifting with the market accordingly. I mean, right, that is the key of good investment is the market may be up or down, but if you learn how to make money both ways, you're always making money.
Fantastic advice, Angela. Some real good actionable insights as well during this interview. I've really enjoyed speaking with you about it. Now, that's business. Tell me, it's a stressful industry. What do you do to get away from it? How do you when you close the laptop, how do you blow off steam?
Yeah, I love working out. So I've been running Spartan races once a quarter. I'm doing one this weekend on my birthday. I did one in Fiji last year, and I'm planning one in Amsterdam. So I really love to work out, move my body, yoga, kickboxing, anything to stay active.
I'm with you. I get itchy if I don't do it once a day, right? You got to do something.
Oh, completely. Yeah. Yeah.
You got to do something. Okay, great. Well, look, Angela, it's been really, really great to talk to you. If people want to find more about your business, where should they go?
Yeah, you can go to peacockbungalows.com. That's our website. You can reach out to me via email at stay@peacockbungalows.com. And then same on the Instagram and Facebook, Peacock Bungalows is our handle.
Amazing. Angela, thank you so much. And for our audience at home, you probably are aware we've just gone through a big rebranding. So what was once Superhog is now Truvy. So please go to our website as well. Check us out. Formerly superhog.com, now truvy.com. So yeah, very exciting stuff. Angela, thanks again for coming on, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was fun. I appreciate it.